Now that we're in Chodesh Elul, there's a very important halacha. Now let's shift back to Ben Adam Lamakom. With regards to mezuzot, Chazal teach us, it's halacha in Shulchan Aruch, mezuzot need to be checked pa'amayim b'shavua. Over here in this context, shavua means 7 years, twice every 7 years, which is an average of once every 3.5 years. And the reason for that is because mezuzot are not opened up, they're left inside a case, air doesn't get into it, and therefore letters can crack, pop off, whatever it is, and therefore periodically, twice every 7 years, you have to check them to make sure that they're still kashir. With regards to tefillin, the halacha is not like that. The Rambam, Hilchot Tefillin, writes, he quotes a Talmud Yerushalmi that says that if a person checked his tefillin before inserting it into the bait, which is the boxes of the tefillin, the phylacteries themselves, whether a person himself or he gave it to an expert sofer to check the parashiot before they were inserted, the Rambam says even if you're wearing the same tefillin for 50 years, you don't have to check them. Why? What's the reason for that? He quotes the Talmud Yerushalmi that explains that because you're wearing them, air gets into them, and therefore, since they are susceptible to the air, it keeps them fresh, and we're not concerned about cracking or popping. The Orchot Chaim, Rabbeinu Aharon HaKohen Milonil, in his Sefer, he brings down a machloket exactly how often you have to check them. He brings down from some French Rishonim, they used to check their tefillin every year. However, he says, I believe that the halacha is as follows. It depends what kind of tefillin they are. If it's tefillin that is worn on a consistent basis, it's a regular pair, obviously besides for Shabbat and Yom Tov, but if you're wearing your tefillin on a consistent basis, technically you don't need to check it ever. Once it was checked properly before it was inserted into the bait, you're fine. But if it is a pair of tefillin that is worn infrequently, let's say it's a spare, or a gemach pair of tefillin, whatever it is, a pair of tefillin that's worn once in a blue, a travel pair of tefillin, it's not worn on a consistent basis, that has the same halacha as mezuzah because it's not as open to the air, and those need to be checked like mezuzot twice every 7 years. Now, Maran Zichrono Levracha in Yechavedat rules, like the Rambam, as does Maran Shulchan Aruch, that tefillin that are worn on a consistent basis, once they were checked, if you're buying a pair of tefillin, hopefully they were checked before. However, so technically they don't need to be checked really ever, but nowadays, where we sweat a lot while we're wearing tefillin, people wear all sorts of hair products. Also, we subject the tefillin to all sorts of extreme weather conditions, heat, cold, people leave their tefillin in a car, whatever it is, it's still recommended to check your tefillin once every few years. How often? There's not really a number. From time to time. People ask me, should I check my tefillin? My first question to them always is, do you remember who you bought your tefillin from? If the answer is no, my reply back is check them immediately, right now. How do you not remember who you bought your tefillin umzuzot from? That is your most important, most precious investment in this world. How do you not remember who you bought tefillin from? So if the answer is I don't remember, you have to check it immediately. And even if you do remember, every so often, let's say every 5 years or so, whatever, to check it to make sure that, now that's talking about the parashiot, the batim also, they can warp, they can crack. There are certain things, they're natural products. They sometimes fall into a state of disrepair and need to be maintained. And Maran Zichron Bracha says that the most opportune time to do so, to check one's tefillin and mezuzot, if when necessary, is during Chodesh Elul, before the Yemei Hadin, before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so that we come before HaKadosh Baruch Hu clean, we have all of our mitzvot in order, so that we can ask for another year, L'chaim Tom Shalom, of K'tiva v'Chatima Tova. Have a wonderful day.